device ecosystems is nothing new. For those of you here a decade ago, the conversation also surrounded device ecosystems. But this is time to change. The appeal towards ecosystems for a lot of OEMs is quite clear. If we look at some of the volumes and revenues from the categories that Canalys track, we can see the appeal. It's of massive numbers up on the screen. But this is changing when we look at the long-term trajectory. If we actually compare some of these numbers, particularly looking at the more, let's call it established categories, smartphones, PCs, tablets, they've actually gradually shrunk since 2015. And the outlook is actually quite modest when we look into the future, because we're using devices longer. We have regulation passed that allows devices to last longer. And this poses a threat to some of the leading OEMs today and the way they earn money and the revenue models they have. So we believe that an important next step for a lot of OEMs is to rethink how we look at the ecosystem. Not to think of it just as devices together, but as an ecosystem that's a platform in which more revenue can be generated. We're already now seeing some of our leading hardware OEMs. If we look towards Apple, Samsung, looking into services, we expect the next step might be advertising, media, entertainment. So what will happen in the next 2 to 3 years that will start to see this shift in that direction? The first point, we need to rethink how we actually analyze an ecosystem. We've had this 1+4 model for the last few years, 1 + 4 + n. We've had different versions of it that has put the smartphone in the middle. That model is close to outdated. Instead, it is time to put the customer or the consumer at the model, as this graph shows with a nice logo I found, and rather put devices around it that can interconnect, not just integrate. Each of those categories should be differentiated. It should be different. It should be possible for an OEM not just to have the smartphone as the entry point or as the hub, but to have different routes in to actually get along with the consumer and find them. And that's where you find excitement in a different category than just the main hub of the ecosystem. And in a similar way, it should be possible to exclude any device in the ecosystem, and it shouldn't go away. That would allow for a lot of new partnerships to happen, particularly with more specialized vendors, such as Polar and Sennheiser, who launched a partnership a couple of months ago. The second point that's important relates that ecosystems should not just integrate, they should interconnect. And some of the infrastructure that's needed for this to happen, particularly looking at eSIM, is first starting to have an increased priority within the largest OEM, so Apple, and service providers at this point. And we expect that this will change drastically over the next 5 to 10 years, really enabling the ecosystem to be a platform. And the last point we need to be aware of are the disruptors. There's new technology coming in that can really shake up how we look at it and the attraction from developers. AI is the big talking subject for this week. It will definitely change how we attract developers, attracting third-party developers to an ecosystem rather than just a device. And the second point is, of course, related to new devices that comes in. AR, VR has been a big subject in the news and in our industry for the last year, particularly due to the Vision Pro. And we're still not sure yet how it will disrupt this dynamic. It might be a new category, it might take over one, it might just add in, but we need to be very aware of how it will integrate, because it's a core part of how the ecosystem will be used as a platform in a few years' time.